Hello everyone, welcome to today's lecture on energy efficiency strategies for new buildings and existing buildings. My name is Ibdit Kaur Bhatia and I am thrilled to guide you through the exploration of energy efficient buildings. In this lecture on energy efficient buildings, we will cover various aspects of importance of energy performance based building design. We will also discuss the importance of energy efficiency systems. We will begin by looking at principles of passive energy efficiency, then we will discuss some strategies for passive design in new buildings. Finally, we will take an overview of benefits and challenges of passive systems. Now coming to the introduction part, meaning of passive. Passive means accepting anything as it is, not acting to influence or change a situation, allowing other people to be in control. Passive energy design means that does not require any external mechanical heating or cooling. Passive energy typically refers to energy sources or systems that do not require active human intervention to produce power. The most useful available example of passive energy we see nowadays is the passive solar energy. Passive solar energy comes in two primary forms, cooling and heating. Passive solar design refers to the use of sun's energy for heating and cooling of living spaces by exposure to the sun. When sunlight strikes a building, the building materials can reflect, transmit or absorb the solar radiation. In addition, the heat produced by the sun causes air movement that can be predictable in designed spaces. These basic responses to solar heat led to design elements, materials, choices and placement that can provide heating and cooling effects in a home. Passive solar energy is a technique in which a solar energy is used naturally. It does not require additional mechanisms, external energy sources. Now, what are the principles of passive energy efficiency? There are basic 5 fundamental principles of passive energy design. Passive energy design principles focus on leveraging natural resources and elements to enhance building energy efficiency and comfort. The 5 fundamental principles are, which we can see in the 2 figures, is orientation. Orientation means properly orienting a building with respect to the sun's path, maximizes natural light and heat gain in winter, typically facing south in the northern hemisphere, while minimizing heat gain in summer. Second principle is insulation. Effective insulation in walls, roofs and floors reduces heat transfer and maintains more stable indoor temperature, reducing the need for heating and cooling. The third principle is ventilation. Designing for natural ventilation through cross ventilation and using operable windows allows for effective airflow and helps regulate indoor air quality and temperature without relying on mechanical systems. Number 4 is shading. Employing shading devices such as overhangs, awnings and vegetation to block direct sunlight during hot months can prevent overheating and reduce cooling loads. Fifth important principle of passive solar energy is thermal mass. Incorporating materials with high thermal mass, example concrete, brick, inside the building helps absorb and restore heat. Moderating indoor temperature swings and reducing energy consumption for heating and cooling. These principles work synergistically to optimize building performance by minimizing energy consumption, enhancing occupant comfort and reducing environmental impact. Integrating these strategies into building and design and construction contributes to sustainable architecture and energy efficient buildings. Now, coming to the strategies for the principles of the passive energy design. Number first, high thermal insulation. Thermal insulation refers to the materials and techniques used to reduce the transfer of heat between objects or regions that are at different temperatures. The primary purpose of thermal insulation is to maintain desired temperatures in buildings. Key characteristics and considerations of thermal insulation include Materials. Insulation materials vary widely and can include fiberglass, mineral wool, cellulose, foam boards such as expanded polystyrene or polyethylene, and reflective materials like foiled faced barriers. Each material can different thermal conductivity properties which affect its effectiveness. Next is the properties. Effective insulation materials typically have low thermal conductivity, that is the K value, meaning they conduct heat poorly. This property helps in minimizing heat transfer through conduction. Next is the installation. Proper installation is crucial for insulation effectiveness. Gaps, compressions or improper fitting can reduce its performance significantly. Now, what are the applications? Coming to the applications, thermal insulation is used in various buildings like insulating walls, roofs, floors and around pipes. Environmental impact. Some insulation materials can have environmental considerations due to their manufacturing process, embodied energy, recyclability and potential for off-gassing. Now, regulations and standards. Many regions have buildings codes and standards that dictate minimum insulation requirements to achieve energy efficiency goals. Next, effective thermal insulation plays a crucial role in reducing energy consumption. The next principle is the airtightness. Airtightness refers to degree to which a building, structure or enclosure prevents air leakage. Airtightness is the property of a building envelope that limits the amount of air that can pass through it under specified pressure conditions. Airtightness is crucial for several reasons like energy efficiency, comfort, durability. Achieving good airtightness involves ensuring that all components of the building envelope, including walls, windows, doors, floors and penetrations like pipes and ducts, are properly sealed and fitted. Common techniques to improve airtightness includes using air barrier such as membranes, tapes and sealants at joints and penetrations, ensuring continuity of the air barrier throughout the building envelope, paying attention to details such as sealing around windows and doors and where different building materials meet. Now, regulations and standards. Many building codes and standards include requirement or recommendations for airtightness to improve energy efficiency and indoor air quality. Coming to the testing part, airtightness testing, often conducted using a blower door test, helps to quantify the level of air leakage in a building and identify areas that need improvement. Second is the thermal bridge free construction, also known as thermal bridge free design or thermal bridge free detailing, refers to a building construction approach aimed at minimizing or eliminating thermal bridges within the building envelope. A thermal bridge occurs when there is a break in the continuity of the thermal insulation layer, allowing heat to transfer more readily through the building envelope than through adjacent areas. Common examples include junctions between walls and floors, around windows and doors. Now, design principles. Thermal bridge free construction focuses on continuous insulation, minimized heat loss paths, optimized structural connections, materials and techniques, thermal breaks, incorporating materials with low thermal conductivity, thermal breaks at junctions between different building elements. Now, insulation continuity, ensuring insulation continuity around windows, doors and at building corners. Advanced construction methods, using prefabricated components and advanced detailing techniques to achieve thermal bridge free design. What are the benefits of thermal bridge free design? Coming to the benefits, energy efficiency, comfort, durability and compliance. Next is the radiation control. Under the radiation control refers to the various methods and measures and regulations to put in place to manage and mitigate the risks associated with radiation exposure. Here are some key aspects of radiation control. Radiation has mainly two objectives to be worked on: high performance glazing. High performance glazing refers to advanced glass technologies used in windows and facades that offer enhanced performance compared to standard glass. The term glazing typically refers to the glass or transparent material used in windows and other building openings. Here are some key characteristics and features of high performance glazing. Number 1, energy efficiency. Second, solar control. Third, thermal insulation. Fourth, UV protection. Fifth, sound insulation. Sixth, durability and maintenance. Seventh, aesthetic appeal. Examples of high performance glazing technologies include double glazed or triple glazed windows with low E coatings, spectrally selective coatings and vacuum insulated glass, that is VIG. Now shading and daylighting. Coming to the part shading, shading and daylighting are important aspects of building design that focus on optimizing natural light levels within a space while controlling glare and heat gain from sunlight. Here's a breakdown of each. Daylighting. Daylighting refers to the practice of using natural light to illuminate the interior spaces of building. It offers several benefits like energy efficiency, health and well-being, visual comfort, aesthetic quality. Now, what are the key strategies for effective daylighting? These are window placement and size, light shelves, skylights and clerestory windows, light diffusing materials. Shading. Shading refers to techniques used to control sunlight and heat gain, especially during warmer months. Effective shading strategies include exterior shading devices such as overhangs, awnings, louvers placed outside windows to block direct sunlight. Interior shading devices, blinds, shades, curtains or films installed inside windows to control light levels and reduce glare. Smart shading systems, automated shade systems that adjust shading devices based on sunlight intensity and building occupancy. Now, next is the vegetation. Strategic planting of trees and shrubs to provide natural shade and reduce solar heat gain. Building orientation. Designing buildings with considerations for solar orientation to maximize natural shading opportunities. Now, coming to the fifth part, heat recovery ventilation. Heat recovery ventilation or HRV is a technology used to improve indoor air quality while also enhancing energy efficiency in buildings, particularly in climates where heating or cooling is necessary for extended periods. Here's how HRV works and its benefits. How heat recovery ventilation HRV works. Ventilation. HRV system provide controlled ventilation by exchanging stale indoor air with fresh outdoor air. This helps improve indoor pollutants, odors and excess moisture, improving indoor air quality. Heat exchange. Now, HRV units have a heat exchanger core that transfers heat energy between the outgoing stale air and incoming fresh air. During the winter, the heat exchanger warms the incoming cold air with the heat from the outgoing warm air. In the summer, the process can be reversed to pre-cool the incoming air. Third is the air distribution. The conditioned fresh air is distributed throughout the building via duct work, ensuring uniform air distribution and comfort. Fourth, energy efficiency. By recovering heat energy that would otherwise be lost during ventilation, HRV systems reduce the heat energy needed to heat or cool incoming fresh air. This can lead to significant energy savings and lower utility bills. Fifth, humidity control. Some HRV systems also help control indoor humidity levels by transferring moisture between the incoming and outgoing air streams. What are the benefits of heat recovery ventilation? Improved indoor air quality, energy savings, comfort, moisture control, noise reduction. Now, what are the considerations? Proper installation and regular maintenance are essential for optimal performance and efficiency of HRV systems. HRV systems are most beneficial in climates with significant heating or cooling demands. In temperate climates, energy recovery ventilation ERV systems which also transfer moisture may be preferred. Integration of HRV system into building design should consider factors such as building size, layout, occupancy and local climate conditions. Now, what are the strategies for passive design in new buildings? Passive design strategies are techniques used in architecture and building design to harness natural resources such as sunlight, air movement and thermal energy to achieve comfort and reduce the energy consumption of buildings. Here are some key strategies for passive design. First is orientation and layout. Proper orientation of a building relative to sun's path is crucial. Designing buildings with more windows openings on the south side in the northern hemisphere allows for more sunlight in winter and less in summer, reducing heating and cooling needs. Second, building form and shape. The shape and form of a building affect its energy efficiency. Compact building shapes with minimal external surface area relate to internal volume, reduce heat loss and gain. Third, natural ventilation. Designing buildings to maximize natural airflow through strategically placed windows, vents and building openings can regulate indoor air temperature and improve indoor air quality. Fourth, shading and solar control. Using appropriate shading devices such as roof overhangs, awnings, external louvers, external shade devices and even landscaping can prevent excessive solar heat gain during hot weather while allowing for solar gain during cold winter. Fifth is insulation. High levels of insulation in walls, roofs and floors helps to minimize heat transfer through building envelopes, reducing the need for heating and cooling. Sixth, thermal mass. Incorporating materials with high thermal mass, example concrete, stone, into the building structure helps to moderate temperature fluctuations by absorbing and storing heat energy. Seventh, high performance doors and windows. A key factor in the success of a passive house design is the performance quality of doors and windows. The advanced wall assembly, which includes the establishment airtight and insulating layers, is effectively interrupted by addition of windows and doors in order to properly warm the interior air during the winter. Windows and doors in a house must maximize solar radiation during the summer and heat radiation from the outside during the winter. Eighth, position of openings. Maximizing natural daylight through well placed windows and skylights reduces the need for artificial lighting, improving energy efficiency and occupant comfort. Ninth, landscaping. Utilizing landscaping elements such as trees, shrubs and green roofs can provide additional shading, cooling effects and insulation. Next, the 10th most important factor is the green surfaces. Green roof and green walls are very effective in reducing the inner temperature and improving indoor air quality of a building. 11th, natural light. Maximizing natural day light through well placed windows and skylights reduces the need for artificial lighting, improving energy efficiency and occupant comfort. 12th, passive solar heating. Directing sunlight into the building's interior during cold winters, example through south facing windows with appropriate glazing can reduce heating demands. 13th, water body. While using water body in passive design approach, the factors such as evaporative cooling, humidity control, microclimate, enhancement aesthetic, physiological benefits, aesthetic and psychological benefits, natural ventilation, rainwater harvesting, these all considerations should be incorporated in the design strategies. 14th, form factor ratio. The compactness of a building is measured by the form factor ratio, which is the ratio of the heated volume to the dissipating surface of the structure, external walls, roofs and floors against the ground. This ratio affects the building's energy efficiency. In fact, building with low form factor ratios are more compact and have proportionally fewer exterior dissipating surfaces, whereas buildings with high form factor ratios have more articulated shapes and as therefore more dissipative with greater penetration and communication with the outside environment. 15th factor is the climate specific design. Tailoring passive design strategies to the specific climate and microclimate of the building site ensures optimal performance and comfort. For example, in the different climatic conditions or weather, the strategies or design can be changed accordingly. 16th factor is the use of local materials. By using local materials in the design, the designers can not only reduce the carbon footprint but can also make the project energy efficient and economic as well. These local materials also respond to the local climatic conditions and has deeper connections to the building. 17th, cool roofs or green roofs. Cool roofs are the most important effective design strategies and have the ability to significantly increase the energy efficiency of traditional rooftops. Using roofing materials and coatings with high solar reflectance and heat transmissions is the foundation of the cool roof concept. By doing this, the amount of solar energy absorbed is reduced and the heat is successfully released back into the space. It lowers the temperature of the rooftop, effectively reducing the building's overall cooling requirement and lessening the impact of the urban heat island effect. Now, what are the benefits and challenges of passive systems? The first benefit is the cost effective. To achieve cost effectiveness in passive design, implementing these strategies like optimal orientation and layout, insulation and thermal mass, effective shading and glazing, natural ventilation, strategies, climate specific design considerations, life cycle cost analysis, integration with other sustainable practices, educating stakeholders, adaptability and flexibility, regulatory and incentive programs. Second is the sustainable. While using passive design strategies are also helpful in building a sustainable approach towards the environmental impact. Infrastructure. These passive design approaches are resource efficiency and sustainable design emphasizes the efficient use of resources such as water, energy and materials. Strategies include rainwater harvesting, efficient HVAC system and use of recycled or locally sourced materials. Third, energy efficient. Energy efficient buildings not only reduce operational cost and environmental impact but also enhance occupant comfort, productivity and overall building value. Fourth important factor, quality, structure and aesthetics. Passive house design results in a good quality structure, thus reducing its maintenance, and these structures are more durable and strong as they are built in a strict design rules, as the traditional houses are seen to have more life than the recent architecture. Fifth point, high thermal comfort. Because of the thermal insulation of the exterior walls and the installation of thermal windows, the temperature inside the house is consistently comfortable, warm in the winter and cool in the summer. Sixth, improved and higher air quality. Passive houses are designed with a strong emphasis on energy efficiency and comfort, but they also inherently promote good indoor air quality, that is IAQ, by applying several passive design features and principles. Next is the noise reduction. Also, by using passive design, a good acoustical design approach can be achieved as it uses high insulation and thermal barriers, which in result give a good noise reduction and sound proofing in the buildings. Next, knowledge and consciousness. The ability to offer opportunities for education and knowledge about environmental challenges and solutions is also benefit of passive design concept. Passive design can allow users and visitors to learn about and appreciate the benefits of sustainability and passive design by making the natural elements and processes visible and accessible. Flexibility and durability. Increasing buildings or space flexibility and durability in a benefit of passive design techniques. Passive design makes rooms adaptable to changing human and environmental needs, preferences and scenarios through the use of flexible and modular components. Next, improved health. Passive design strategies improve the air quality and comfort inside a building, thus improving health of the users as inside the air in clean and temperature and is adequate to the users. Now, there are various challenges which we face in the passive design technologies. These challenges are: one major hurdle is the lack of customer knowledge or awareness. Many potential homeowners or developers may prioritize reducing initial construction costs, overhang long-term operational savings. This decision often results in buildings that are less energy efficient and have higher energy bills over their lifetime. Over 90% energy savings are achievable, however, in regions with harsh winters, fulfilling the passive house requirement can be exceedingly expensive. High efficiency workmanship and contractors with good construction knowledge is needed for the construction of passive house design also. The cost of construction will go up if a passive house system is delivered after planning or too late in the design process. The UK is having issues with innovation, training and research development in the construction sector, as the 2017 Farmer Review noted. Even though passive house is 30 years old, it still demands a new perspective or building design and construction. Contractors are not receiving government fund training which might expedite the reduction of passive house delivery costs. Now coming to the summary of this lecture. The overall, if we look at the summary of this lecture, passive energy design means that does not require any external mechanical heating or cooling. Principles of passive energy efficiency. Now there are fundamental 5 principles which we have learnt in the lecture. These principles of passive energy design consuming up to 90% less heating and cooling energy than conventional buildings and applicable to almost any building type or design. The passive house high performance building standard is the only internationally recognized, proven, science based energy standard in construction delivering this level of performance. Fundamental to the energy efficiency of these buildings, the following 5 principles are central to passive house design and construction. These 5 principles are super insulated envelopes, air-tight construction, high performance glazing, thermal bridge free detailing and heat recovery ventilation or known as HRV. Now the topic to be covered in the next lecture is energy performance based building design, that is design approaches based on energy performance, role of energy modeling in building design, optimization of building system for energy efficiency.